live. Let's give it a minute and see who pops up. Yeah, I'll be able to tell who's there in the thumbs up from right there. Well, we got a big trip planned for later on this week. We'll be headed to Fort Stockton. I did send a text to some saying we're going live. I don't, friend Ash was about to get down off her live. Welcome in. Hello, Rebecca Touched by Yarn. Welcome in. How are you doing this evening? I know Rebecca does knitting. Joanne does crocheting. And me, I don't know the difference.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't do them anyway. It's pretty good talent. Oh, nice. Yeah, Rebecca says she's about working on finishing a baby blanket.
I haven't made a baby blanket in quite a while.
Yep.
It's been a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, well, one thing we have planned is we'll be heading to Fort Stockton for the historic Fort Stockton Living History Days. And you want to tell them what you'll be doing there?
Well, we're going to be having a information table. It's representing the Humano Apache Indian Nation. We've done these before in the past. We missed out on it last year, but we'll be back this year. And what we do is we do, information. That we give out information. The first couple of days, which would be Thursday and Friday, will be dedicated to the area schools where they'll be bringing groups of kids coming in for like a little field trip for them. And then Saturday will be a public event, open to the public. Are you doing a granny square? That is my most favorite pattern to make. Anything for, with granny squares. My grandmother actually, that was one of the first patterns that she taught me, and I'm always looking for granny square patterns and stuff. And I taught my daughter the same thing, and she originally made a purse with granny squares.
Hey, Frankie's Sea Channel, welcome in. Good to see you.
Hi, Grandma. Okay, who's Grandma? Am I Grandma? No.
Home for Carol. Well, welcome in. Yeah, I've met up with Frank a few times. What was it? The museum in Medina County, the one in Bandera, and earlier this year we did a hike in Hondo. Oh yeah, also at the historic Fort Stockton, they had the historic reenactors like the Frontier Life, Sheriff and Outlaws, Chuck Wagons. Did they have the camels there?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, they had the camels depicting when they tried to use the camels for the U.S. cavalry in the 19th century in the southwestern United States. I mentioned Chuck Wagons. There's also museums in that on site, and none of the, I don't believe any of those buildings, I think they're all rebuilds or replicas. Hello, Troy, welcome in. Good to see you.
Hi. They're also going to have the Buffalo Soldiers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we had be- befriended one gentleman from the Bexar County Buffalo Soldiers. He went by the name EZ, and unfortunately, he did pass away. On one of my videos, he was one of the gentlemen of the Buffalo Soldiers where they both in perfect time did the salute. That was cool of them to do that. What else will be there? What else? Oh, the guy who fires that cannon.
Yeah. Yeah, like every hour or so they do a cannon.
Yeah, they fire the cannon. Yeah.
And then there's some other reenactors where there's a group of guys that are all in Western wear, and they take care of the jail that's there.
Yeah, the sheriff and outlaws. Yeah,
And they
that's
have
what I called.
oh okay, and they have like the ruins of a jail there, and then they'll come out and do their part, and they'll shout out like fire in the hole, and then they'll take a shot up in the air.
Also, when that guy fires the cannon, they fire the blanks with rifle and shotguns.
Yeah.
It's a fun event.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get something to show Rebecca.
Okay. Yeah, they'll kind of like fire back and forth, and well, that was bright. I didn't expect that.
Did it come out real bright?
Yeah, it's putting a really bad glare. Yeah, I think it's bright enough. Yeah, just aim that this way. That should be fine. Or you can aim it more direct if you can. Yeah, it is a lot. That event is a lot of fun. And also, if Angela's watching, this would be something she'd be interested in. You know, show them the blanket.
And this is one granny square blanket that I made a while back. Oh gosh, I made this several years ago. And it had been packed away, my mom's stuff, and I came across it. And so it's a lap blanket, and it's made actually out of vintage yarn. You see the colors? It's like a harvest gold and a green and white in it. And those are vintage colors. I love to find vintage yarns like at yard sales and thrift stores.
Hello, that's Ray Sandoval. Welcome in. Oh, okay, that's cool.
And so that's the granny square. And then so it's a lap blanket. And it hasn't really, just myself or my mom have used it.
Troy said that's really nice.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, we'll also be having the chief of the Humano.
Yes, a special treat this year. We're going to actually have Chief Gabriel Carrasco of the Humano Apache. And actually, he's actually a cousin. We're related. A lot of us are related. The Humanos that have found each other and found our culture. And it turns out that a lot of us are related. And so he happens to be my cousin. He's my fourth cousin. And he's 86, 87 years old, 86.
Yeah.
And he lives in El Paso. Well, outside of El Paso, a little town called Socorro, Texas.
Hello, Tornado Garden. Welcome in. Yeah, and probably one of the days I'm gonna see what other sort of place I can visit. Uh, I thought about revisiting Monahan Sandhills, but that's kind of dependent on the weather because there's no protection from the sun there. It get brutally hot out near Monaghan's. Uh, but I have a few days. I'll look up some other stuff. Also about the chief. Weren't you gonna say something else?
No, no, we're going to have the chief. He's going to be there with us also too, so that's going to be a treat for everybody, especially for the kids to actually meet an actual chief.
Hello, Grandma and Grandpa.
Grandma and Grandpa, okay.
It's in nationalist. Well, welcome in. Yeah, for a grandpa, Troy from Adventure America has been on the hiking trail with me. And he always says I'm hard to keep up with.
Gramps and Grandma. You know, actually, in the with the Native American groups, usually they give titles to some of the elders, and I guess I'm considered an elder. So, and it just depends too on the age of the person who's addressing you and so forth. But some will refer to me as grandmother, and that's usually a title of respect given to an older person by a younger person, and as to how they see this person. So they'll call me grandmother, and there's some that will call me auntie. You know, so I'm either an auntie to some and a grandmother to others.
A lot of the native culture, there's a lot of respect given to older people, you know. Yeah, Troy saying for me on trail, slow down. Now, if it was a rockier trail, then I definitely would have been slower.
It's getting hot.
Yeah, Troy saying I'm hard to keep up with. Yeah, but we had a great time out there with you and Jason at Palmetto State Park. Well, good for you. Okay, I will go on that, set the notification, but we will be in Fort Stockton at that time. But I will definitely try to make your live, Rebecca. Maybe we should be finished at the fort at that time, but I don't know for certain. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll look for it and set the notification. Oh, yeah. This is, well, you can go ahead and explain it. Yeah.
Okay, whatever. I gotta put these in here still. So.
Okay. Yeah, what Joanne's about to show is some of the artwork from Feather Rada.
Well, yes, and other artists.
And you can tell who Feather Rada is.
If some of y'all, if you look up the Humanos, if you look them up,
Hello, Traveling Whitcombs. Welcome in.
you'll come across, if you look up artwork on there, there's a set of beautiful artwork that's been done over the years by an artist by the name of, it's her, I guess her professional name, she goes by Feather Radha. I'm not sure, I don't know what her real name is, She speaks with an accent, so I know that she's got to be from another country, almost European. And here's where we met her. We met her at the
Martha
Marfa
Light.
Lights, and she actually gifted me with a set, a collection of her artwork, which I will always treasure. She depicts some of the history of the Humanos.
In the history of the Big Bend area.
Yeah. At Sul State University, they did a mural project there at one time, several years ago, and they depicted in the murals people who were famous and contributed to the history of the area. And on part of that is the Humanos. So she drew a picture of the to add to the picture to the mural, and so that's here of the Humanos up in the mountain, and that's another way that she did an old painting. She did there also too of a Humano up in the mountains. Our homeland is the Chihuahuan Desert, which is also the Big Bend National Park. So that's part of
Ancestral.
our
lands.
ancestral lands. And you know, I used to always say that we're very fortunate that our ancestral land is part of a national park, which means it will always be protected. No one can go in there and tear up our lands unless it's something that's a benefit to the environment and so forth. And so we always said that, you know, we're happy because it's part of the national park system. But what's happening now, that area now is in danger too because they're planning to build a border wall going right smack through Big Bend National Park. And a lot of us are not very happy with that.
Hello, Casey Jonesy. Welcome in.
And see, there's no need to have that. You know, it is, you know, you go like, for example, to like Santa Elena Canyon. One side of the canyon is the U.S., the other side is Mexico. And who's going to be crossing a canyon to jump over, you know?
Especially when those canyon walls are over 1,000 feet above the river.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's a lot of pictographs in the area, so they were all done at different time periods, you know, from by the natives, and the Humanos did some of the pictographs in that area. So this is one of Feather's artwork where she's showing a Humano doing pictographs in one of the caves at Big Bend, or somewhere in the Chihuahuan Desert, somewhere in that area. Well, like I said, there's been a lot of people, you know, upset whether you're Native American from that area, and even the locals, the local people, they're not very happy with that either. And I mean, there's no who knows what we can do about that. There's even the Border Patrol has even said themselves too that there's no need to put up a big wall, a big iron gate here. There's no need for that. You know?
Also, once you get a major flood in that area and that water's channeled through that canyon, that fence won't survive it. The rocks and the force of the water will carry it down to the Gulf, or at least to Lake Amistad. Yeah, to see Santa Elena is quite a sight. I enjoyed visiting there. Hello, Luke. Welcome in. Yeah, it was nice to see it. It was in April a few years ago, but it was already well over 100 degrees in the canyon there.
It's brutal. It's
And
actually.
then we drove out of there and we went up to Panther Junction. It was in the upper 40s at Panther Junction. Amazing what, 30 miles and a couple of thousand feet of elevation gain. Hello, Ruby, rushing in mountains. Hey, Ray, welcome in. Yeah, But like I was saying earlier, depending on the weather, uh, if it's not too extreme, or if I get out there early, I'll visit Monahan Sandhills, and if I can it's unusual in the kind of area in between the mountain ranges there. It's just like miles of sand dunes. Hey, Ronnie from Tennessee, welcome in. Don't worry about it, no one's late. It's a pop-up, so with a pop-up live, you happen to see it and join in, you're welcome to be here, and I do appreciate it. What else we'd be looking for in that? Oh yeah, you're gonna. What's all gonna be in your display at the information table?
Well, there'll be a couple of others also demonstrating different things on there. Like on there, we'll have another Humano, Bill, another cousin Bill, and he puts up a pretty good display. He has a little bit of everything on his. Very informative, and he's there to give information to and talk about our culture, and then we try to have our displays as much as hands-on as possible.
Between us two, no, we don't have kids.
No kids. What do I always joke about that? There was a time that we were concerned about birth control at one time, and now I kind of think about it. We weren't that careful. I mean, that concerned about that. We'd probably have.
That's a TMI.
And I think about it. But I was blessed. I didn't have my daughter till I was 38 years old. And I thought I had lost out on that opportunity. And she's 25 years old now. And she's just been my greatest joy and my biggest blessing. But,
Oh, and she's about to graduate from the University of Texas, San Antonio.
yeah.
She's done very well for herself.
Yeah. I'm really, very, very proud of her. She's been working very, very hard at it. And maintaining a somewhat full-time job also at the same time, and then going to school, and she's tired. She's tired quite a bit. So I just tell her just rest and just don't worry about anything else around the house. Don't worry, just try to keep your room up as much as you can and your laundry, and just concentrate on your studies. And I joke with her and I tell her, I need you to finish college. I need you to graduate, because you got to remember, you're my meal ticket.
Yeah, Troy said that's awesome. I gave her. Okay, Nikki.
You want to say something?
Here's Joanne's dog. Let me see if I can do this.
Will this come forward?
Yeah, a little bit. That's a little more than I wanted to.
Yeah. There's Nikita.
Yeah, okay. Let me re-angle that.
You just put it on there? It just sits on there?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was like stuck on there when I tried to lower it.
No, it's just sitting there. Yeah, so that should be fun. It's like a 4-hour drive for us.
Yeah. We've done that drive several times.
Oh, also speaking about the murals at Sul Ross State University, That's before I even started a YouTube channel. Um, we're actually there for the dedication of the murals. Is that Bill?
No, no,
Oh,
no. Actually, did I show him this?
no.
Can y'all see this pretty? There's a bit of a glare on it. Let me try to fix it to where there's not much of a glare. That is actually our chief, and he will be there. I think that's
Okay,
gonna,
that's Gabriel then.
yeah, that's gonna be a big treat for the kids to actually meet, a chief.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get an interview with him and put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, it be a should be an awesome event. Oh, thank you, Ruby. Yeah, also, if I don't make Monahan Sand Hills, I'm going to look around and see what other places I might be able to visit there. I mean, it's West Texas. You can get into all sorts of stuff. Hello, Barry. Barry, welcome in. Oh, you're going to show some of your display stuff?
Yeah, some of the stuff that I display, I was trying to develop at one time our educational program, and I decided I wanted to teach them about the animals in the Big Bend area. And these are basic animals you find in just about any desert environment. And one of the animals that I do show them is a javelina.
Javelina or a colored peccary.
A peccary?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. A lot of people think that they're a hog
The,
or they're a pig, and I said, nope, totally different family. They don't even have a pork flavor to them. I don't think so.
They're extremely musky.
Musky? Oh, very
Yes,
wild. No.
I have tried them.
You have?
Uh-huh.
Ooh. No, I wouldn't want to eat that. They're just too cute. But don't want to come across them because they can go after you. But yeah, that's my javelina.
I actually have harvested some javelina in the
And
past.
this one here is pretty close. And we actually saw one time on the side of the road
Near Presidio.
near Presidio, and that was just a treat to do that. And that is the badger. So I do have a badger that I show them because I do teach them about like I said, the animals in the desert. And the badger is one of them that you don't want to cross. They're the type that will go after you and find you and seek you out. They will hunt you. And they've got some pretty nasty, claws on them.
And they got a mean bite.
Yeah.
The only two animals out there that may challenge them is coyotes or the.
And I have a coyote. I even have a coyote.
And a
it's got-
husky.
And a husky here who's like interested, like, is that for me? No, that's not for you. Yep, we have a coyote. And then we do teach them about the bighorn. When you look up in the mountains in Big Bend, in that area, you'll see groups of these longhorn.
Bighorn.
Bighorn?
Bighorn sheep.
The bighorn sheep. Now, there's another one out there called the Aldad.
Aldad or Barbary sheep.
And those
they
are
were introduced. They're an invasive animal.
they're an invasive animal, and they're just as rampant as those out there. They're just as bad, But
Yeah, there's been some national programs, and Texas Parks and Wildlife has worked with them. They've been doing some reintroductions of the bighorn sheep into the Big Bend region.
what is the difference between a flea and a coyote? Why am I?
I don't know. Go ahead and tell us, Mary. Barry comes up with some great one-liners.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So what's the difference between a flea and a coyote? One howls on the prairie and the other prowls on the hairy. Oh, okay. Oh my God, yeah. And then another animal that is in danger from the wall going up in Big Bend are the black bears.
Yeah, black bears have an interesting story. There's a subspecies of them called the Mexican black bear. They had pretty much, they had pretty much been, they're- they pretty much were hunted to, there weren't any left in Texas. But sometime, I believe in the 1980s, they started migrating in from Mexico. And they had pretty much repopulated the Big Bend region. And they've gone as far east to where some of them, some of them have been sighted within 30 to 40 miles of the city of San Antonio. Oh, yeah.
And this seems to be a favorite of everybody's. You guys can make out what this is. There's the black and white tail.
Yep, black and white tail, Western Diamondback. That's not for you, Nikita. Yeah, that's fine. If someone's timed out, they don't need to be here.
No, we have not been to Yellowstone, but that's a dream bucket list.
Oh, yeah. Yellowstone, Yosemite. I would like to go to Denali.
Oh, shoot, yeah. And one other fascinating fact about the Humanos is that the Humanos were bison hunters. And I do have a bison demo. I thought this one, if I squeezed it, it made a noise, but no. I even have a little buffalo. We have a buffalo. And we were bison hunters.
Also, Joanne is on the board of directors for the Texas Tribal Buffalo Project, and we have done some work with them or visit with them several times. You know, the buffalo harvest, we're not going to make the buffalo harvest this year, but they usually have their open house and other events, and we also come across them at powwows and other events. Oh yeah, get everything together for that. Oh yeah, and the display, I have some of that mesquite flower. We can use that in the display.
Oh, I have acorns in here. Okay. Oh, I gotta find out where the mesquite flower. I have that bag still. Somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm not taking this, showing this here, but no.
All right, I'm gonna. Okay, we can do it that way.
This is another display that I have there. Is that the Humanos were also farmers. And some of the things that they did grow there were pumpkins. They grew pumpkins, which is, of course, a squash. Squash, beans, and corn is what they grew. And I also show a demonstration of some of the corn. And then I have like different squash examples there. Another piece of squash. Little miniature pumpkins. Gourds. Also. And also I used to explain their planting method, I will show them.
There's a question from you from Ron. So, do you do the displays at schools and that?
Um, the schools, usually it depends too. It's kind of difficult to go out there and if it's a local school, I'm more than happy to go and talk to them. And talk to them if it's local. Because like I said, a lot of these things that we would like to do, it's on our own dime. And a lot of times we've been asked by the people in that area to go by and do a demonstration, just do a little something, to explain the natives in that area, and it's to the area schools, and it's like I said, it's kind of hard to get there. They're far. So what I have thought about doing, and it was a project at one time, was to develop a PowerPoint that we can send out there to them, where I can do like a live discussion along with the PowerPoint, like a Zoom with them. But then they would like to also have it to where they can refer back to it later. So I would have to like develop an entire PowerPoint, and that is still something that is very much possible. It's just a matter of getting it together. Somebody who's very, knowledgeable in putting PowerPoints together and so forth, and we would be more than happy to do that. But like I said, for us to be out there where where we were from, it's those schools, especially in that area, when they're trying to teach local history and culture, and that would be more beneficial to them. But like I said, for us, it's not cost effective because it's so far. When we go out in that area, there's really, you know, it's almost so deserted out there that you're in the desert, and you got your rooms, your food, your lodging, and so forth, and the schools are just not set up. If they can barely pay their teachers, can you imagine trying to accommodate us for several days?
But with the schools, at least schools around the Fort Stockton area will tour the historic fort, and Joanne will get to talk to them at that place.
What does it mean by be respectful? Somebody?
Huh?
Is somebody?
Yeah. I'm not worried about that. I'm pretty certain if someone's
Oh, okay.
being something like that, Troy will take the mallet and play a game of whack-a-troll.
Okay. Bears. I agree with that on there. Bears have eaten. Eat just about anything. Bears, especially when you look at them, the majority of the time when you see them in the wild, they're berry eaters, vegetation, and what else?
No, it depends on the species.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, it depends. On that. But
Black bears tend to be more, they do, they still are a predator, but they,
yeah. And actually, what's a well-known fact about the bears in the Big Bend area? It's like so many people are exposed to the bears out there, and that a bear can actually walk across you, but still you don't trust that. You keep your distance. You see a bear, you keep a respectable distance. But the bears have been known to come like right up to you and keep on going. And of course, there's some that are like, we smell something on you. So it's just a matter of just being cautious. But the bear is kind of like their I don't know, like their mascot out there. I don't know. There's just so much wildlife out there that everybody has a different animal that's their favorite out there. But the black bear is the one animal that is in danger of the wall going up, because they go between Mexico and Texas. They're bouncing back and forth. There's the only species that we know of that don't need a green card. They can come and go as they please.
and South Texas, it affects the ocelots, who are an endangered animal.
So one of the reasons why I show the vegetables and the food is there's this picture here. It is known as the farming method is known as the Three Sisters. and it's a farming method that the natives developed as far as keeping their food stores up. You know, they start off like there's a corn stalk on there, on the ground to keep away like the weeds and so forth. They'll grow their squash on the ground, so you'll find a variety of squash on the ground, and then the beans are a very hardy food also too. So they'll get that to grow up the corn stalk. So that is known as the Three Sisters, and so that's a very how can you put that, like a very smart way of growing.
Yeah,
You know.
especially with the beans being a legume, and what legumes do, they are a nitrogen fixer, and they'll take atmospheric nitrogen and fix it into the soil, so they actually fertilize the corn and the squash. It was a very effective agricultural method that many Native Americans would use. Also, about the Three Sisters, I mean, that goes across many Native American groups.
Yes. And like each region also too has their particular
Yeah, Ron, that may be that may be so. I have to double check, but that makes perfectly good sense to me. Is that companion planting? Yes, I believe so. Okay, I know there's Monahan Sandhills out there. I mentioned that earlier. Now, I'm just gonna look into it because the one day when the school kids are all there, uh, uh, I'll probably be there the first day just in case we need anything. Plus, we gotta set up the information booth, but that should be a piece of cake. We've done it before. Uh, Oh, another thing, the what's his name? The guy who runs that fort?
Ross Harper.
Yeah, he's a dog person, so Jackie Boy's allowed on the fort, and he will be with us on this trip. Well, I thought, are you still looking for?
No, I'm just looking to see what else,
Yeah.
anything else I can show them here. But
Uh,
and I'm keeping my display this year small because normally I take like what 3 boxes, big
Oh, yeah.
boxes full of stuff, and a couple of tables and cloths and so forth. But since we're gonna have a couple of other people there also too are gonna be bringing their own displays, so I kept mine small this year.
yeah, because Bill brings some stuff.
Uh-huh.
I always shoot his bow and arrow when he brings it. Yeah, yes, it is, Troy. Yeah, yeah, and come September, they have the powwow in Corpus Christi. We'll be there. Oh, what I mentioned, what was the native range of the Humana?
The Trans Pecos. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that Trans-Pecos, part of New Mexico.
Uh, well, it's just the Chihuahuan Desert. All of that is a Chihuahuan Desert, but I know that what's considered the Trans Pecos area is actually Presidio and Alpine, all that area,
Marfa.
Marfa, all the way to like towards actually Fort Stockton, and a little bit past that is considered the Trans Pecos area. Over to other towns nearby, they're like there's a small ghost town there called Toya, And then there's Balmorhea, also too, is part of the Trans-Pecos. The Humano has history in the Balmorhea, park area. There's a little
Yes.
town there called Toya.
Toya and the
Yes,
San Solomon
in Springs.
Springs.
Yes.
I think the San Solomon Springs, San Felipe Springs, the San Pedro Springs, the Comal and San Marcos Springs are depicted on a pictograph that's along the Pecos River called the White Shaman because it has blue dots and they're kind of set up in a position. If it were a map, it would be where those springs would be in that location. And that's another place we plan to visit. It's been on our list for a long time. We just would have to schedule with the Whitty Museum to visit the White Shaman Preserve. But that's more in the Del Rio, Comstock area. And you gotta time it the right time of year. You don't want to be there between March and October because that area is.
It's brutal. Like I said, it's brutal up there. The only way, even in the early, late fall, early spring, it can still get pretty bad out there. It's okay if you're gonna do like car sightseeing, that part, just drive through, stop off, look for some shaded area and walk around a little bit. But to do long haul hikes, and so forth like that, it is not safe at all. It's not safe at all. You're just.
In the Pecos River, the last several times we saw it, it just.
It's down to nothing. It's a
It's a
mud.
trickle of stagnant water. I
Yeah.
wouldn't even put a kayak in it.
It's almost like a swamp out there. It's like, even the reeds that did once grow through the water and all that, that's nothing but dry.
Only thing
Yeah.
growing there is the salt cedar.
Yeah. And taking up whatever's left. I got one more thing to show them, but let me-
Hello, down home Misty Style. Welcome in. Good to see you. Yeah, Joanne's about to grab more of her display, and yep. So I know there's a organization in town. I'm just gonna call them by their abbreviation. I'll ask Joanne when she steps back in here what the abbreviation is for AIT, and they're supposed to be having an upcoming powwow. We're not sure if we can make that. It's only for about 4 hours. And I think it's the same day that Jeff from Calvin the Boston Terrier is just going to be in town. So I'm not certain we'll be making that. But there'll be others. And of course, some of our favorite events are like, that's not until November, is the Fry Bread Social. Okay, what do you?
Um, another item
You left the pumpkin.
I left the pumpkin. Okay. Hey, we got a pumpkin. Hey, you want a pumpkin? I'm call you pumpkin head. You put that in your head.
Oh, you're between. You're talking Athens, Ohio. Because my dad was from Racine, Ohio.
one little handout that I created several years ago that I pass out to the kids, and we have it at the table that anybody's welcome to pick one up. And it's called the Humano Apache Activity Book. And in it, I have a page. Everything's in black and white, so the kids are welcome to come in and add color to it. But I do like a one page, a little history about the area, the mountains and so forth, and let them use their imaginations how they want to take care of the rest. I explain to them about the vegetables, the farming methods.
Yeah, Ron from Tennessee. Had mentioned that that's companion farming.
Oh, okay. The
Yeah.
Three Sisters?
Yeah.
Companion farming. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I can tell them that too. It's known as the Three Sisters, also known as companion farming. Good. More dialect to add to that. The Humanos were also one of the first natives to use horses in the Texas area. This enabled them to travel distances and to be able to travel and be able to sell and trade their goods. And this happened shortly after the Spanish invasion. Actually, they brought the horses with them, and the Humanos are one of the first ones to create a relationship with the Spanish, and which they in turn were able to learn to use the horses. So I give them a page of a horse, and then they can color that in. They can make it whatever color they want. And then also I talked to them about that we were well-known bison hunters. So there's a bison picture that they can also color in there. And then to really stir their mind, I made up a Humano word search puzzle. So this is a little activity for them also to do, and that way they can do the word search on there. And it's got words in there that's related to the area. For example, like the word rattlesnake is in there. Javelina is in there. Black bear.
Thank you, Misty. Hey, Matt out here. Welcome in. Good to see you. How are you doing, my friend? I saw your post where you'd gotten injured. Are you doing better? Yeah, it's a Humano Apache history. Okay, good to hear, Matt.
Actually, the Apache part came way later because the Humanos were there actually way before the Apaches. You know, they go as far as back as, have you heard of the Tarahumara's and the Rara Murrays? They go as far back as that time frame also too. The Apache didn't come till way later, and that was just added actually on there because they always went by Humano, but then everybody started adding Apache to the end of the name of their tribe, and so Humano happened to be one of those that got Apache attached on there. But actually, when you ask us, we'll say, "Oh, we're Humanos." And they'll say, "What about the Humano Apache?" And we're like, "Oh, that's right, we're the same people." We're the same people, but the Apache didn't come till way later. But they adapted to that Apache culture also too at the same time. So,
And Matt, I'm glad to hear that you're on the mend. That's unfortunate. I mean, if you haven't checked out
oh wow.
Matt's channel, uh, you know, if Matt or Troy could share Matt's link, he has some really good content. It's well worth checking out.
Well, he got hit in the head. Wow, that is a bad injury.
Yeah, it's downright dangerous.
Yes, it happens with a lot of people also too that they'll get a head injury, and sometimes you don't feel those effects till later on. Some people it affects them right away, and some can it's actually gradual until it's something that's discovered.
Good night, Ruby. Thank you for coming in.
Good night, Ruby.
Ruby's Russian Wind Mountain.
Okay.
Oh, since we're on the Humanos, you wanna mention is that right, Nikita? If you wanna mention about the lady in blue,
Well, the Humanos are also tied to a religious history, also too. Um, they're connected with the legend of the Lady in Blue. It's known as the Lady in Blue, and actually, it's the Lady in Blue is the habit of a Carmelite nun in Spain, and she's a they were sequestered also too. They were not sequestered, cloistered. Sequestered, yeah, and they there was a nun that had the experiences of bilocation. She had visions and so forth, and that she was mentioning about visiting a tribe of natives from another land. And everything she would describe, she was describing the Humanos. And there was even a inquiry about it during the Spanish Inquisitions, to where, you know, the Spain's people from Spain, you know, from here, you know, they interrogated her and so forth and so forth. And it's pretty a bunch of different, you know, different interesting facts that came out of that. So we're connected with the legend of the Lady in Blue, because in fact encouraged the Humanos to convert. Quite,
well, let me say, well, have a good night, Matt, and thank you for coming in. And start feeling better, buddy.
yeah. Yeah, so like I said, if you look it up, look up the Lady in Blue, and her actual name is Sor Maria de Jesus de Agreda, and her convent is in Agreda, Spain.
Hello, Chris. Chris from Mary's World saying hello to both of us.
And also, there was a documentary made of it, and the actors in it are actual Humanos who acted in, took part in this documentary, and a lot of them are my relatives. So stop it, quiet.
What else is interesting about Lady in Blue is when the Spaniards actually reached the area along the Rio Conchas, not the Concho River in San Angelo, but the Rio Conchas, tributary to the Rio Grande, they were met by the Humanos, and the Humanos were carrying Christian items showing the cross. And that, didn't they tell the Spanish priests that the name of the who had been speaking to them,
Oh.
and then it just time frame, and then the writings of that nun. I don't want to butcher the Spanish name.
Well, what happened was when the natives kept saying that there was a nun who would a person. They didn't say nun or anything like that. That she was a cloistered nun or anything like that. They just said that they had a woman dressed in blue, a very beautiful young woman dressed in blue, who would come and visit with them and would talk to them. And this happened a lot during the time too, when a lot of the natives were forced into the missions. And apparently, she spoke to them, explained what was going on, you know, in the missions, explained, religious practices to them. And they didn't have a name for her at that time. They didn't know what her name was or anything. They just called her the lady in blue, because of her blue habit that she wore. And when they would travel to New Mexico a few times to meet with these group of friars, asking for baptism and catechism and so forth. And they were kind of like, who are you people? Where are y'all coming from? And who is this woman and so forth? Until finally they asked them, well, explain, if you don't know her name or so forth, explain to her, what does she look like? And then when they explained, this is what she wears. This is, and how does she speak to you? Does she speak your language? He goes, she speaks to us in our language, just as I'm speaking to you. This is how she speaks to us. And I said, well, what does she look like? And there was a picture of a nun in a blue habit on the wall. And when they looked up there, they said, she looks like that lady. He goes, she looks like this. Does she look like this lady here? And they said, yes, she looks like that lady, dressed like that lady in the picture. But ours is a young, beautiful woman. That's an older lady there. And then when the priests were talking to each other and then, letting each other know what's going on with the natives and what's up there, what's their news and so forth. And they mentioned this and they're like, you know what? There is a nun in Spain and she talks about these trips that she does, these visions, these vision quests that she has.
Biolocation.
Yeah, the biolocation. And that's when they learned who her name was. And so they did an inquest on her. And when they went up there and interrogated her and grilled her and so forth, she was explaining things that they saw themselves when they were in the desert visiting with the Humanos. And it is a controversial story also too. But it's part of our history, part of our part of what makes us up. and it's a lot of people have embraced that. I wasn't raised Catholic myself too, but I know about it, and so my religious practices, are different. But I am familiar with the story and so forth, and I try to explain, as much as I can. And she is up for canonization. She's been beatified, and she is up for canonization. She's even had Pope John Paul, review her also too. And here recently, Pope Francis also too reviewed her also too. And we're hoping with this new Pope Leo, that he may go a little bit further with that. But because, it's a man's world out there, and it's kind of hard, so who knows what's going to happen. It still may not happen in this lifetime for her.
Misty, it's humano, like human, humano.
No, it's when you say hermanos, no, it's humanos. Hermanos is for brother and sister, siblings, or kinship, hermanos. But this one's humano, and humano is means human, and the humano name was given to them by Cabeza de Vaca. When Cabeza de Vaca traveled, to the New World, us, down here. He didn't land where he was supposed to. He landed in Florida.
He landed in Florida. They got their ships repaired, got blown off course, crashed into Texas.
Yeah, they crashed it was in Galveston, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Galveston that Cabeza de Vaca, crashed into, and I believe it was the Karankawas who took care of them. It was the Karankawas who were mesmerized by them. They were mesmerized by each other, so they were very cautious with each other and observed and watched each other because they thought that each other was, the enemy, the bad guy, and so forth. So then after so many years, they were released by the Karankawa, and they continued. They continued with their journeys until eventually he wound up. They wound up in Mexico, in that area, New Mexico, the Chihuahuan Desert, and so forth, and they wound up in the Big Bend area, in that area. And
You're welcome, Misty.
And they came up and Cabeza de Vaca, and the very few that survived were with him. Remember, he came with a ship or two. How many did he come with? Was there just one ship, or how many did he come with?
I don't recall. I'd have to.
But when he got here, there was only a handful that survived. And by the time they got to Texas, in that area, there was only a handful that he had with him. And they saw him here as they saw Cabeza de Vaca here, Narvaez. They saw him as a medicine man. For some reason, they saw him doing something, treating somebody for an injury and so forth, and they saw that this person recovered, and they thought, oh, these are medicine men, He goes, maybe there is something they can do for us, and what interesting observation they had was that they saw that these men, you know, Cabeza de Vaca and his crew, that they would gather in a circle, and before they would start their day or take on any task, that they would gather in a circle and bow their heads, and actually they were praying, and they thought, because they're doing something before they come out here, so they were trying to figure out what is that they're doing. He goes, they must be praying. He goes, they must be praying for what they're going to come and do out here, when actually they were praying for survival. They were praying that they make it through the day. But the natives took it as something else, some other kind of spiritual thing that was going on with them. And so then when they asked Cabeza de Vaca, when they asked him, well, it's actually Narvaez was his name, but Narvaez, when they asked him, what were these people like? And he said that these people were tall, very, some of them were like different colored complexions. Some had green eyes, and that's the European thing going on between them. But some of them, they were very, athletic. They were very, very human-like. They treated you with a lot of humanity. And so, of course, when they were speaking in Spanish, they said, "Te trataron como humano." They treated you like a human being, like a person. And so,
Yes, it does, Ron. That's what it translates to. But that was the name.
yeah, cabeza de vaca does mean the cow's head, and that's another thing there. When cabeza de vaca, when he encountered them, also too, the buffalo were around. And so another nickname that Cabeza de Vaca gave to the Humanos were the people of the cows. So when they saw a bison or just cattle in general, they said that they're the people with the cows, the people of the cows, and that was part of their livestock. That was their part of their livestock and their food source and so forth. So they knew when they could take care of this livestock, and they knew when they could harvest. And so one of the names that they went under was the people of the cows. And that also was used for other native groups in the area that had the same type of livestock with them. And they called them the people of the cows. And then he was like the head cow or something like that. And they said the head cow of Cabeza de Vaca,
Yeah, another thing, there's another legend with Lady in Blue. Um, it's the legend of the appearance of the Texas bluebonnet.
Right. There's several legends of the bluebonnets on how they came to be. And
That,
one of the legends of the bluebonnet is that when she came to make her visits, that the last time that she visited, I believe it was in her last visit, because after she and I may have that wrong. I still need to, like I said, I need to research that more. I still have a lot to learn myself on that too, but they said that when she would visit, and it always happened during the bluebonnet season, and that wherever she would visit and to wherever her robe would touch, bluebonnets would grow. And so they say that when you're part of, especially like in West Texas, like around the San Angelo area and so forth, and
I'd welcome in.
especially in Big Bend, they said that because of the blue bonnets that are out there was because of her visit out there also too. That where she walked and her cloak touched, blue bonnets would grow after that, and that comes from her being connected to the legend of the blue bonnets.
Yeah, and I'll probably, when we're driving to Fort Stockton, we'll probably go live on that too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Can she come to Tennessee? You miss seeing the bluebonnets? You know, there's a lot of people that you can grow them out there too. You can always, grow your own little bluebonnet patch. In fact, Kevin, one time you had a patch of bluebonnets in your yard, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah, I did. I have some. I only have two plants this
Oh,
year, but that's how it goes. And also, the bluebonnet seeds themselves lie dormant in the soil until
uh-huh.
the situation's right. Oh, talk about Sor Maria, Sor Maria de Agreda. I hope I'm not butchering it too much.
No.
Uh, is considered one of the uncorruptible.
Oh yes, that's another thing about the lady in blue. Actually, she is one of the incorruptibles. Yeah, there's bluebonnets. You know, there's been times that there was one time that well, the times that we've driven from San Antonio to San Angelo for a Lady in Blue festival. Can you believe that along the way there we passed fields and fields of bluebonnets? You know, and I kept thinking, I go, wow, is that like a sign or something? But as you get into San Angelo, that area, you can just see fields and fields of bluebonnets. You know, but what were we talking about?
Oh, the incorruptible.
Oh yes, she's part of the incorruptibles, which means that a body that has not decomposed and so forth. There's many. They call that a religious. It's a miracle. And when she died back, oh gosh, was it 1600s or something?
Yeah, I think
In the
so.
1600s, when she passed away, um, they
Yes, she did, Todd.
yeah, she did. Yeah, that was part of one of her campaigns is planting the Texas bluebonnets. And that is, yeah, right. And a lot of people bringing that up also too. That if it wasn't for Lady Bird Johnson and bringing the bluebonnets, and like I said, there's some that are just many generations and generations of bluebonnets in the same area. And it just depends too what kind of season they had too, as to how thick they are. And how far the winds too that blows the seeds, out also too. And you find them randomly, all over the place.
Yeah, when that bean on the bluebonnet dries and it pops, it slings the seeds.
Yeah. But anyway, back to the as far as being incorrupt, um, her body is still intact. She still looks like the day that she passed. She still looks the same age. She hasn't aged at all. Her body is not decomposed, and I don't even know if they had any kind of embalming back then.
Back then, well, it was
There's probably
possible, but
it's possible maybe a certain sort of process of some sort, and the only thing they have done to her is that they have put a layer of a wax finish on her face to keep it to keep it looking dewy and youthful and so forth. If you look at her hands, you can actually see her hands folded over, and you can see age spots on her hands. You can see her nails and so forth. But when you see her face, it's very smooth and dewy looking. But that's also a process they put on there to preserve that. But you can actually still go into the convent that she founded with her family back then, and you can still see her remains, her body on display inside the chapel
yeah, and that's Agreda, Spain.
in Agreda, Spain. Yes.
Yeah, mentioning about the granny patterns.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah. Like I said, that the Granny Square is one of my all-time favorite patterns also too. So I'm all about grannies.
Well, thank you, Misty, for coming in. You have a good evening. You have anything else you're gonna mention?
No,
Yeah.
no, I've already spoken enough, I think. And
Oh,
it's late too. It's 10:33 here Central Time. And so, it just depends what side of the states they are. We're 2 hours
well,
behind in
good night, Ron.
California. So in
Thank you for
California,
coming in.
it's early still, 8:30 in California, but it's already past midnight on the East Coast. So
Oh, that's cool, Todd. Uh, oh yeah, yeah. This last Friday and yesterday, Troy did a premiere of our hike at Palmetto State Park. That's a fun and beautiful park. I was there with Troy and Jason, Jason's TX Adventure. I also went live from there. Yeah, last Friday I had. Oh yeah, when no, last Friday you weren't on Sox Live. I have to recheck it out. Yeah, Jason is a real good dude. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. And Troy on his video kept saying that Kevin's hard to keep up with. Yeah, Troy had a really good video. I got the video together. I just haven't posted it yet. And it was a nice place to hike at. Yeah, and it was really nice to see Jason. It'd been a while. I mean, I I text and talk to Jason all the time. Todd, Todd said Joanna's nice.
be nice. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Todd met Joanne
Yes,
at Garner State Park.
yes, I had the privilege of meeting Todd
Todd and Donnie.
and Donnie,
Yeah, and you met Troy.
Troy, yeah,
Yeah,
Jason
Jason,
and Justin.
Calvin.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, I met Calvin RV living with the geezer. I met him a few years ago in Murpha. That was uh thank you, Troy. Oh yeah, you met Troy at powwow last September.
Uh huh. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, unfortunately, when Chris was in town, Chris from Mary's World, Joanne was taking care of her mother. There was no possible way
Yeah.
she could have gotten away at that moment. It was cool. It was really nice meeting Chris too. And then, depending on the weather, well, probably the following week, a friend of mine, he'll never appear on the videos, but after we get back from Fort Stockton, he'll be on vacation from where he works at. He wants to do a hike, but he was saying make sure the place has a lot of shade.
Mm, the only place that might have some shade would probably be like Lost Maples, maybe.
I was thinking going to Colorado Bend.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do the
Don't you gotta watch for gators at Colorado Bend?
Colorado Bend.
No.
No,
Oh,
no, it's
okay.
a hill country.
Oh, okay.
Now Palmetto had more of a chance of gators there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was, you know, I missed his live, you know. Yeah, it was just we're just off doing other things. Well, for a pop-up live and going a little better an hour, and I know Joanne's gotta call it a night here in a little bit. I want to thank everyone for coming in. You want to tell them bye?
Bye.
Okay, everyone
Thank you for
have a
joining
good
us.
night. Thank you for coming in. All right. Yes, Colorado Bend is an amazing place. Yeah, me too. Have a good night, Chris.